So why am I stuck in the mud again? I'm working on drainage. Drainage problems are not where it's high and dry. Drainage problems are where it looks like this. It's wet and mucky. So before you watch me get muddy, let's go back to the big picture here. This is again Google Earth. This picture is about 4 years old. You can tell in the middle where all the pine trees were cut down. It was clear cut about 10 years ago. And the yellow is the trail I cut almost a year ago with the rental hoe. I had no idea where I was going. I just got out there and wandered around and tried to avoid the big trees. And then the orange is kind of the problem area on our property. It doesn't drain, so the pine trees are not growing there as well as around the perimeter. We get mostly bushes and a lot of sweet bay and some pine trees, but they're stunted because the water table is up half of the year to right at the grass level. So I got two long-term goals here. I want to lower the water table to make this middle part healthier. I don't have the ability to bring in thousands of yards of dirt. I'm going to have to just lower the water table and leave the dirt where it is. And two, I want a nice trail that we can stroll on all year long. I want to plant a canopy. I want trees growing over the trail. This is like my legacy. I'll probably spend the rest of my life working on this. Trees grow really slowly. So anyway, I cut the trail in the summer. It did great. Come back in the winter, I see all kind of problem spots. And one of them is where this the black arrow is pointing to the yellow trail, and that's where the track hoe is stuck. I was trying to raise the trail and put a ditch next to the trail to lower the water level, use that material to raise the trail. And I just kind of pushed my luck a little bit, and I slid off the higher side of the trail into the wet spot. And it's worse than it looks because I'm sitting on nothing, so every time I move I go down 2 inches, and I knew that was going to happen. So I just turned the key off, left the machine, came back on another day with my chainsaw so I could cut some dunnage to try to get under the tracks to maybe get out of there without assist. So coming down the trail, I stopped and cut up a bunch of downed trees. Most of these are almost a year old, so they're kind of rotten, but I just need something to put under the tracks. I'm going to try to get my track hoe unstuck. I went over there a little while ago without anything. I made it worse, so let's go see what we can do. Okay, let's see if we can't pick up the tracks in the back or the front by lowering the blade. So I'm not nearly in the predicament I was when I got David's track hoe stuck. For one thing, this is flat terrain. I'm not trying to go uphill. Two, you can see I can kind of stand next to the machine without going up to my ankles, at least for right now. Later on I'll muck it all up, but for now I can walk. Three, we have a road now, so I was able to get the truckster. Well, I have a truckster. I didn't have anything then but my four-wheeler, which is my red wagon. And I was having to walk a long ways between the truck and where the track hoe was. So, I was almost tired before I got there. And another thing is, it's not summer yet. It's spring, and it's not super hot, so I'm not getting dehydrated. I got a little more energy. It's still a mess. The biggest problem with getting stuck in the mud is the mud. It's so hard to move around or just do anything in mud. Mud's a pain in the rear, and that's why I'm fighting to get rid of it. If you look up towards the front of the machine, you can see where there's standing water. That's where I have dipped material. I was backing along and thrown it up on where the trail, kind of where the trail was, but I'm kind of moving it to the left to what I was hoping was higher ground. But when you do that, I'm digging from the side, so I'm pulling the machine sideways, and I must have snagged a root or something, and the machine slid a couple feet sideways, and that was the end. Once I got off of the halfway dry ground and got into the muck, it just went down real fast.
pants are falling off. Took the crap out of me. Alright, so now we're going to try to lift up the front of the machine with the bucket and try to get some stuff under the tracks up front.
Again, last year when I was on Dave's machine, the ground was not solid enough to have the bucket pick the tracks up. You know, no matter how high I picked up, I was still beneath the mud line. I had a real hard time getting anything under the tracks. If I mess around here for too much longer, it's going to be the same way, because you just you churn this stuff up and it just gets softer and softer and softer. So the bucket has more than enough power to lift the machine up. The problem is now I'm trying to lift up the machine plus probably 1,000 pounds of mud and plus the stickiness factor. So it can be a battle. So I was not able to pick up the front. So I tried turning around and just picking up one track at a time, and I was able to do that. We were able to get some stuff under each side. And I'm running the tracks a little bit, just hoping they'll come unstuck, but nope, didn't happen. So this lifting up the whole front of the machine, it didn't work.
Maybe one side at a time. It doesn't have enough horsepower to break through all that mud. Tell you what, I'm gonna go get some more logs, so if I do get it up, I'll be ready. Got to turn the camera on, but that track is up.
So when you're in this position, and do you feel like the machine is going to dump over backwards? Absolutely. It is pretty unnerving. I don't know that it would. I don't know if you could make it fall over, because you got the boom sticking way out in the front. Just I don't know if it would flip over. It may just gradually lean over on its back, but it's still pretty unnerving. That was about as high as I wanted to go, but it was high enough. And got some logs. I started putting them parallel with the track, and then I decided to put them perpendicular to the track, just so when I got off of the boom and let the weight down, just trying to spread the support out a little bit. Luckily, on the side of the trail is pretty much a unlimited supply of these downed pine trees, and with the chainsaw I'm able to cut them up into handleable pieces, and with the truckster I'm able to drive them back to truckster. It's right around the corner. It's on solid ground. I didn't want to get too close and get both the truckster and the track hose stuck. That would be my luck. So I let the machine down, and you can see the dunnage just kind of poked up in the air. I didn't have it shoved under there far enough. So I leaned the machine back a little bit further, and now I just have to get the timbers out from the mud and push them under there a little bit further. And if it wasn't for the mud, this would not be so difficult. But everything sticks in the mud, so it's a battle, but it's a winnable battle. And again, it's not too freaking hot. I'm not up to my knees in mud. The ground still kind of holds me up. So I guess, be thankful for small things. This is much less disgusting than it could have been.
Okay, that's looking good. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm trying to save my battery, so I'm gonna turn the camera off. All right, set it down. I don't know if I can locomote. I want to get up here. I want to get up on this firm ground. Firmer. It's a relative firm. Okay, I'm gooder than I was a minute ago, but I'm not good yet. The blade in the back is dragging. Need to try to swing the front around or swing the back around, and I'm gonna head out that way. I'm not coming back once again. I'm not coming back where I came from.
So now my situation is deteriorating here by the second. What used to be, what looked like solid ground where I was standing is now getting churned up and turning into slop. And every time I spin the tracks, the high side, the part by the pine tree, is getting lower and lower. And at some point, the back of the It's actually the front of the machine, but I'm facing backwards. That blade was so far down in the muck that I couldn't drag the machine. I couldn't track it. I had to punt, try something different. So at the end of this clip, I picked up one side of the track again like I did before and put logs under it. I was kind of running out of logs, and then picked up the other side, and then my chainsaw failed, so that was a problem. But anyway, I don't have any of that on film. When we start at the next clip, it is after I've put whatever dunnage I could get under both tracks.
I was good, and now I'm not. The back blade is dragging so much mud, I'm having trouble pulling forward. So it's kind of surprising, because I thought when I got to this spot I'd be okay. But all right, we're just gonna work it for a little while. I'm gonna turn you off, save them back. Okay, I did the same thing over again. I lifted up this track with the bucket. Now it's starting to rain, man. And I'm gonna swing around, do the other side, and hopefully I'll get out of here. So the chain just jumped off my chainsaw, and I don't have a wrench to fit it even back at the cabin. So all I could do was stick some branches under the other side. I don't have any more short logs. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I was trying to grab some of the original logs, the dunnage, and get them over here where I can get to them. I didn't have a whole lot of luck. Most of them were so far down there that I either got a bucket full of mud or I just couldn't grab them. climb up on what used to be the dry ground, but now that I mess with it, it's just as sloppy as the rest of it. That's the problem with this terrain where the groundwater elevation is 3 inches below the grass. So as long as I can lift a track up totally out of the mud, I know I'm going to get out of here. Now, I'm going to have to come back another day with my chainsaw working so I can cut more dunnage. But I know I'm going to get out of here. It's when you get to a point where you can't pick the tracks up, you can't get anything under the tracks. That means the way the machine is sitting in the on the belly of the machine. It's kind of like getting when you get your car stuck high centered and the wheels aren't on the ground. That's when you got to punt and get out the chain, come along, so like I did last time, or get another machine or whatever. I can't really get another machine close to me right now, but I knew I was going to get it. I just had to take some deep breaths and relax and work through it. I was going to get it. I was going to get it out. There was no question in my mind. Just didn't know whether it was going to be today or if I was going to have to come back with a chainsaw in working order. The chain jumped off the bar, and I don't have the wrench for the bar. That's the only thing wrong with it. So very seldom will pushing with the bucket work, because it usually just drives the other end of the tracks further down in the mud. But the other end was on, more stable ground. So in this case, it actually worked, and I backed myself up out of the mud. Now got myself up in the trees, and I didn't have the bucket to move them out of the way, but I worked around that. I ended up turning around in a very, very, very tight circle. Now up to this point, my socks are still dry. I don't have mud in my little short boots somehow or another. But right after I quit filming, right after the machine was out, thankfully, I stepped in one of the holes that I had dug with the bucket trying to pull. I went up to my thigh, and my sock was no longer dry. But by that time I was out, so I was in a good mood. So what do you call that? First world problems.
Okay, I see the camera laying on its side. I guess you missed that, but I'm out, sort of out. Look at the thorns on this thing. They're just waiting to grab my arm. Problem now is I'm facing the wrong way, and there's trees in front of me or behind me. I'll figure it out. Okay, turn this thing off. I think the exciting part is over. Now I cut this trail right through here when I had that rental track hoe last summer. But I guess it was another month or so into the summer and it had time to dry. But man, it ain't pretty tough to go through here right now. I probably will reroute the trail because I've dug these big deep holes. They never will be good. I'll probably reroute the trail on the way I came out of here. But all right, that's what it's like getting stuck in the mud. But unlike last time, it's not 150 freaking degrees. And I had the truckster this time, so I was able to get my tools, the chainsaw, and all these logs up pretty close. I didn't have to pack them a mile like I did last time. So life is good. We're all right. First world problems, right?